Hello, it's Finn. I came to talk to you about the video, discussing how your surroundings are shaking your shoulders to wake up. Most of us wake up in the morning, yet some wake up at night, and then some of us wake up to discover we have an entirely new and different perspective on life, because our consciousness has been raised by an experience or a piece of information we have encountered, life-changing. Our world is far different than what it was just 20 years ago. In just a span of 20 years, life has changed for every person on this planet. Look at your surroundings. Our global atmosphere changes every day by man-made interference. Our global crops change every day by man-made interference. Our global forms of transportation change every day by man-made inspiration. And we trust our life to what we eat and what we drive. Overwhelming empirical evidence proves a shift from an old consciousness to a new consciousness around the globe. People are waking up to a world of injustices like hunger, homelessness, poverty, unemployment, physical and mental disease, and overall a list of pangs of distress. These developing conditions of our human dilemma from being on this planet literally keeps humans in a jaw-dropping state of hopelessness. Let us return to the cause of this dilemma by making connections. In the book of Genesis, in the Bible, it speaks of mankind making their own decision and choosing to follow someone beside their Creator. The decision was made to step away from their trust upon the Creator and trust their own thinking because they were in a mental and physical and spiritual state of perfection. As their consequence, all humankind around the globe must rely upon their own imperfect thinking until they come upon the knowledge of their Creator. At that time, they have a choice to stay in the dream of the world or to wake up to an entirely new and different perspective on life because the consciousness has been raised by an experience of truth from a piece of information they encountered. In our present day, under our present state of thinking, our world develops. Our reality is experienced. Let us use the planet as an example. First, let us simplify the planet into a mere classroom of learning. We receive much information on various subjects, and we experience some of this information as reality, and this causes us to solidify the experience as a living truth to incorporate now into our belief system. Then, our belief system becomes the benchmark of how we further experience our reality in this world on the basis of experience or empirical evidence. That is the dream. In the few words that I have spoken, I cannot, without great arrogance, claim that I have woken you up to a new perspective on your entire life. You see, changing one's perspective requires initial information on that subject, and then the reiteration of that same information, plus additional information on the same subject to prove a reality of value that we can appreciate. And changing one's perspective on life is the total value for gravitating our thoughts, our motivation and desire to change our perspective on life. It's as if your life is a recipe for a delicious soup, yet you know that it's not truly complete upon tasting it because it seems to be missing one important ingredient. It's missing a particular perspective in life that will bring value to your consciousness, to a reformed consciousness. For example, I'm an American and have a particular set of beliefs from experience that caused me to be who I am. However, I married a Russian citizen. The input of his particular set of beliefs from experience causing him to be who he is changed my life experience and belief system in a phenomenal way. Learning international culture automatically wakes us up to new perspectives on life. For example, he comes from a country that is very cold. Sustaining life and in the weather of long-term low temperatures, the inhabitants must adjust to food intake with dense nutrients and fats. So my husband would buy pork fat and prepare it between layers of salt in a bowl until all the water was pulled out of it by the salt. And that was his breakfast in the wintertime in America. I found this dietary practice the most unusual I had ever seen, but understanding the information and the value by the perspective of living in his homeland, the practice of eating fat raw made sense. Now, as an American, I informed him of my information, that eating raw pork could infest his body with worms called trichinosis. I did not change his perspective, and he continued to eat raw pork. By this experience, I know that he did not get sick, he did not die, but he became nourished and strong from the perspective he held in his belief system. On this planet, we are each an integral part, like in a classroom, to experience and to participate, and ultimately to influence in a beneficial way. We are all connected, and we are one human family. There is truly not one thing that separates us in a chemical and molecular way, but the dream that we are in, that we incorporate into our belief systems around the globe on an individual level, separate us by judgments. The Bible tells us in Matthew 7:1 and 2, it reads, "Stop judging, that you may not be judged. For with the judgment you are judging, you will be judged. And with the measure that you are measuring out, they will measure you." Eckhart Tolle tells us that it is ego identification that separates us, and these are such things as possessions, occupation, social status, recognition, knowledge and education, physical appearance, special abilities, relationships, personal and family history, belief systems, political and nationalistic status, race and religion, or other collective identifications. He continues to say that none of these is you, and asks us, do you find this frightening, or is it a relief to know this? And he admonishes, relinquish them all. Why? I will tell you. The longer we hold on to these ego identifications that separate us, we live in a dream, and the dream keeps us in fear. Fear is a negative aspect that caused the first human couple to mistrust their Creator when they heard in Genesis 3:4, "You will certainly not die," as we know as a consequence upon this day that it was a lie. We can conclude now that everything we have learned from that time up to today has been a lie. These are small lies and big lies, perpetual lies, lies as large as the globe, as large as the universe. All lies. For what reason? For the reason to keep you in fear, to keep you distracted, to keep you under control, regardless of the consequences to your mind, body, and spirit. Any day is a good day to wake up. For each of us, the sun awakens us and the coffee is brewing. Each day is one more day granted to us. Let us not take it for granted. Choose the things you will be proud of, the things that last. Thank you for listening. Like the video and subscribe if you are interested. And for now, good night.